Hi guys, my name is Bruno Gobato. I'm speaking from Brazil. First of all, I would like to excuse the quality of this video and the quality of principally the audio. I'm recording as a request from a friend that requested me to show how I can plan a surgery using a very simple software in Windows called 3D Builder. It's a Windows software. It's in every Windows 10 computer. So we are going to show how we can plan a osteotomy. For this case, we are going to use the Latarjet procedure as an example. So let's get started. Let's minimize here. Here I'm using the 3D Builder, Windows 3D Builder software. Okay, as I said, this is a Windows 10 software. So we are going to insert a object. Just click here, load object, and let's open our 3D model we created using any segmentation software like Horus, 3D Viewer, Mimics, and everyone. So I'm going to open the patient's scapula. So here we have the patient's scapula. First of all, we're going to select the units. I'm going to select millimeters. Okay. And here we have the scapula from the patient that we have acquired from our CT scan. I'm going to click just over here to rotate in order to make sure that the position of the scapula is in a better position for our planning. So just let's rotate to make sure we are in the correct position. Okay, I think we are almost done. Okay, I'm okay with that. We are going to plan a Latarjet procedure. Latarjet procedure involves having two screws, okay, over the coracoid. So our first step is to draw these two screws. So let's insert a cylinder. Just click here. And let's select the size of the cylinder, okay? So the cylinder will be 3 millimeters. That's, oh, sorry. Exact. 3 millimeters. Let's change the size again. Okay. Oh, I'm wrong here. Here is to change the size, sorry. This is a 40 millimeter cylinder. We're going to choose a 3 millimeter cylinder to be the guide for our screws. So we are correct. Let's click over here and draw it to be a little bit longer to facilitate our planning. Okay, I'm okay with that. Here we have our cylinder that will represent our screw. Let's click on object and duplicate it. Okay, now we have our two cylinders that represent our screws. Let's select both. Click here and let's select group just over here. Now they are a simple object. Now let's move them. Now let's click here on this selection and we are going to move them over the coracoid process. Okay. Let's move closer to the scapula. Okay, we are almost done. Okay. We must move down a little bit. Let's move over here. Let's zoom in. Let's select both objects. Let's move over here, move over here. Okay. we are close now. Okay, now we should rotate it. Okay, let's move again to the correct position. We think it's the best position for the screws. Okay, let's rotate a little bit. Okay, now I think we should rotate a little bit in this angle and move a little bit inferior, and we have a good position for the screws. Okay, now that we are done, we are going to perform our osteotomy. It's very easy to perform a osteotomy in Windows 3D Builder. We just to click Edit. Let's not select any object. Just click on the object we want, and let's click on Split. Okay, a splitting plane will emerge. We are going to rotate the plane wherever we want to cut the coracoid position. Okay, let's move the plane wherever we want. Let's select Keep Both. Keep both. And here is the coracoid osteotomy, as you can see. Let's rotate a little bit to have a better position. And let's move a little bit posteriorly in order to have a good coracoid osteotomy. Now let's click on Split. Okay, now we have the coracoid, the screws, and the rest of the scapula. Just move the screws a little bit. Now we are going to select both the screws and the coracoid process. We are going to group them together as a single object, okay? And I'm going to Object Duplicate. Now we have here the coracoid process and the screws. I suggest duplicating the object, but you can choose just rotating it and seeing how it's done. Now let's move it to the correct position we want. Let's move forward. Let's put the coracoid position along the medial side of the glenoid. Just let's rotate it to the correct orientation. Okay, let's move to the correct position. Let's change the view. This is of course too medial. Let's position it in the correct position of the glenoid. We are not okay with the location of the screws, so just rotate it. Now we have the screws parallel to the glenoid as we want. We can position and rotate it wherever we want, more medial or more lateral. Let's assume this is the correct position we want. And here we have the Latarjet procedure planned. Just let's delete here in order you to understand how our planning is done. Now if you want to create a object or if you want to 3D print it, you just need to export. We can select the location of the screws, for example. Let's click here on the glenoid and select Edit, Subtract, and let's subtract the screws. And here we will have our plan of the Latarjet procedure. Okay? So this is it. This is a very simple way to plan our surgeries, to plan a osteotomy, to plan position and screws. We can even create guides. Okay, I'm going to show you how. So let's delete. Let's ungroup our selection. Let's delete the coracoid process. Just a second. Let's ungroup. Okay. Let's delete only the coracoid process. And now we have here the screws. If we want to create a very simple guide, we can insert, for example, a cube. Let's change the size for the cube. Let's position it in a better position for a guide. We're going to do it very quickly. It's just an example how a guide could be done. And here, very simple guide, okay, that position the correct location of the screws. Let's move just a little bit. Now, just let's select Object, Edit. Let's subtract from the other object. That doesn't work. It didn't work well. Let's do it again. Let's select our object. Let's select our second object and subtract. Okay. Now here we can see that our guide was created having the location for the glenoid, and now we just need to do this with the screws, and we will have the screws location for the surgery. Just select the screws, the guide, the screws, and again subtract, and we will have the hollow position for the screws just to put along the medial size of the glenoid. Here we have one screw location, then we're going to do this with the second screw, and we have a guide that will orientate us to place the correct position of the coracoid and the two screws. Well, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.